Chapter 41 of Fairy Tales. Chapter 41. I am a nicer person and like to help others. You are listening at novelfold.audio. In the Nanfoam Forest. We're on the perimeter, feeling the density of spiritual energy in the surrounding air. Zhang Yun let out a breath and glanced at the number 3305 on the training bracelet. This score should not be too low. Relying on the 2 road maps collected from Qiu Lu and the storage ring of the Nanshan Sect elder, he could be said to have not stopped for a moment in the past 2 days, leading his 2 apprentices to hunt spiritual beasts crazily, and by the way completed all tasks. A total of 6 training missions are issued, 2 per day, and the total points are 300 points. The remaining 3005 points are obtained purely by hunting spiritual beasts. If he can't get first place even with these points, then he admits it. The strange elder of Lingxian Sect, you came out really late. At this time, a voice suddenly sounded in my ears. Zhang Yun was startled and immediately looked up. He saw a gray-haired old man standing on a tall tree several meters high in front of him, smiling slightly and staring at him with a bit of amusement in his eyes. Nanshan Sect? Zhang Yun frowned slightly. He had seen this gray-haired old man before the exchange meeting. He was an elder who was following the Nanshan Sect leader at that time. 3305 points. The gray-haired old man noticed the numbers on Zhang Yun's experience bracelet. A flash of surprise flashed in his eyes, and he couldn't help but look at the number 1199 on his own bracelet. This strange elder of the Lingxian Sect in the foundation building period actually gained 3 times as many points as he did. No wonder the sect master told me to wait and intercept you. Suddenly he understood. The gray-haired old man narrowed his eyes. It seems that we can't let you get out of this forest. Metropolitan. Hearing this, Zhang Yun raised his eyebrows. Did the Nanshan Sect leader ask the other party to intercept him here? There are only 5 minutes left before the end of the exchange meeting. Elder Chi Pa, I don't have time to waste with you. Now I give you 2 choices. The gray-haired old man raised his finger and said calmly, first, destroy your legs and stay where you are until the results of the exchange meeting are due. Second, I want you to stay forever. Wait until the results are due. Zhang Yun glanced at the number 1199 on the opponent's bracelet and understood something for a moment. He narrowed his eyes and smiled. So, my ranking should be very high. Your sect leader actually sent you to intercept it. Let me guess, I got the first place. Don't talk irrelevant nonsense. The gray-haired old man just snorted coldly and said, I don't want to repeat what I said again. Now I give you 5 seconds to choose. If you don't destroy your legs, don't blame me for being ruthless. As he spoke, he turned over his hand and took out a long spear. The aura of the golden elixir period filled the air, and he counted down in his mouth, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Zhang Yun directly counted the opponent in one breath, took out a long sword and said with a smile, fight if you want. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Court death. The gray-haired old man was furious when he heard this. He stepped on the tree trunk, waved his spear and shot Zhang Yun straight down from a height. Zhang Yun took Qingyuan steps at his feet and dodged the attack. At the same time, he turned his hand and raised his sword, and stabbed the opponent directly with the sword. The gray-haired old man didn't expect that he could easily dodge, but he immediately reacted and raised his gun to block Zhang Yun's sword. Ding! The barrel of the gun collided with the tip of the sword, causing a spark to fly. Get out of here, old man! The gray-haired old man shouted, and spiritual energy burst out from the gun barrel. If you dare to challenge him head-on in a foundation building period, you are simply seeking death. Boom! The burst of spiritual energy set off a roar in the air. The scene where Zhang Yun was directly knocked away by him did not happen, but a burst of spiritual energy from the tip of the sword actually collided with his spiritual energy, forming a powerful force. This. The gray-haired old man looked shocked. His spiritual energy was actually blocked by the foundation building period in front of him. What a joke! The gray-haired old man's hand holding the gun suddenly tightened, trying to force Zhang Yun to fly away. However, with this added force, it was discovered that the tip of the sword in front of the gun barrel seemed to have cast magic on Zhang Yun, like an extremely strong steel wall that could not be shaken no matter how much strength he increased. Your power. Seeing Zhang Yun, who was simply holding the sword with slight exertion, the gray-haired old man was in disbelief. From the spiritual energy to the strength of the guy in front of him, why does it not feel like he is in the foundation building stage at all? Think of Zhang Yun's more than 3,000 points, are the rumors false? Are you done exploding? Zhang Yun looked at the other party calmly and said, now, it's my turn. As he spoke, the hand holding the sword suddenly increased its strength, spiritual energy and power exploded in full force. Not good. The gray-haired old man's face changed drastically, and he felt a terrifying force coming towards him like a mountain roaring and a tsunami swallowing him up. Boom. Unable to even resist, the gray-haired old man transformed into a cannonball and was blasted away, breaking many trees along the way and then stopped heavily in front of a big rock. Puff. He opened his mouth and spurted out a mouthful of blood. You. The gray-haired old man couldn't help but raise his eyes and wanted to say something as his body felt like it was falling apart. Whoosh. However, he found that Zhang Yun was like a green ghost, quickly dodging to less than 1 meter in front of him. You just asked me to destroy my legs, didn't you? Looking at Zhang Yun, who suddenly smiled, the gray-haired old man's expression changed, and his body that fell in front of the big stone couldn't help but move back. You, what do you want to do? You don't have to do anything. Just achieve your goal. Zhang Yun smiled and said, but I am a nicer person and like to help others. You don't have to work hard on your own. I will help you with your legs. With that said, he directly kicked, and stepped hard on the opponent's right knee. Click. There was a crisp sound. Ah! As the screams began, the gray-haired old man twitched in pain and was about to faint. Don't worry, I still have a leg. Zhang Yun directly hit the opponent's face with a burst of spiritual energy to keep him awake, then raised his foot and stepped on the opponent's left knee. Click. Ah! The gray-haired old man screamed miserably and passed out from the pain. Zhang Yun didn't stop him this time. He let go of his feet and was about to search for the other person's things. Suddenly he felt something fierce looking towards the woods on one side. Master! A cry of surprise was heard. 2 disciples wearing Nascent Sect costumes had obviously just arrived from a short distance away, and their faces were full of horror when they saw this scene. Hello you guys. Zhang Yun smiled and greeted them. The 2 Nascent Sect disciples trembled, turned around and ran away. Zhang Yun was about to chase after him when he suddenly sensed something and narrowed his eyes slightly to look in another direction. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 blasts of wind were approaching quickly, and 2 Nascent Sect elders with swords on their feet were approaching quickly with their disciples. 5th elder. 6th elder. The 2 Nascent Sect disciples who had just escaped a few steps noticed them, their eyes lit up, and they quickly shouted, help. The 2 Nascent Sect elders present were startled. They were attracted by the noise of the fighting. 7th elder. At this moment, hearing the words and seeing the miserable condition of the gray-haired old man present, their pupils shrank and their eyes stared at Zhang Yun. Did you do it? Chapter 42 of Fairy Tales. Do you too want to try it too? You are listening at novelfold.audio. You too want to try it too? Zhang Yun smiled and spoke. You wanna die? The 2 Nascent Sect elders were furious, but they did not take action immediately. They were all a little surprised at this moment. They knew very well the strength of the 7th elder. Although he has only entered the golden core stage for a short time, this strange elder in front of him is only in the foundation establishment stage, and he will be destroyed on the spot. 3305 points. Noticing the numbers on the training bracelet on Zhang Yun's wrist, their pupils shrank again. What is going on with this strange elder of the Lingxian sect? Zhang Yun looked at them calmly. You two arrived so quickly, it seems that they are also nearby and are preparing to intercept me, right? The 2 elders of Nascent Sect remained silent. Your sect master is quite interesting. He sent people to mess with me one after another. It seems that I have really fallen under the eyes of your Nascent Sect. In that case. Zhang Yun smiled faintly and narrowed his eyes. Then I have to fight back in my small foundation building period. The moment he finished speaking, he stepped hard and shot towards the 5th elder of Nascent Sect in midair like a spring. He raised his hand and punched him. the latter's expression condensed, and he quickly moved his sword to one side to get out of the way. Zhang Yun had already anticipated this, so he slightly bent his fist inward, and instead used his elbow to strike the opponent with an elbow. The fifth elder of the Nascent sect was startled and had no time to hide. He hurriedly folded his hands to block Zhang Yun's elbow, snapped. But the moment the elbow came into contact, the face of the fifth elder of Nascent sect changed. Although he was prepared, the power contained in this elbow was still beyond his imagination. It directly caused his palms to dent inward, causing his body to fall backward, and hit the two apprentices behind him on the sword. With one sword, the three of them fell directly from mid-air and landed in a panic brush. Zhang Yun was about to take advantage of the victory and pursue the attack, when suddenly a sharp edge swept towards him. He quickly leaned back and saw a sharp long sword, almost grazing the bridge of his nose. Purple Lotus Sword Technique. The sixth elder of Nascent sect next to him took action. A purple spiritual energy emerged from the long sword that swept across the bridge of his nose. It turned the sword's edge and continued to stab him downwards. It seems like a simple stab, but the sword edge is like a blooming purple lotus, with sharp purple edges shooting out from it. Wrapping seal. Zhang Yun did not panic. The spiritual energy in his left hand hidden under his sleeves and robes gathered, and now it poked out and swayed like a flower. He picked up 10 thread-like spiritual energy between his 10 fingers and threw them forward. Ding! 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 The aura of the silk thread collided with the purple edge, just like the collision of two metals, splashing sparks in the virtual space. Zhang Yun's whole body fell from the air. However, before his feet landed firmly on the ground, the fifth elder of the Nascent sect next to him, who was knocked down by his elbow, had already stood up and was slashing at him with a long knife. Zhang Yun took out the long sword from the storage ring and held the kang in his right hand to block the opponent's sword, but because he had not yet stood firm and had not exerted his strength, he was staggered by the shock of the opponent's sword and took a few steps back. Suffer death. Before he could stabilize his body, the sixth elder of Nascent sect slashed down with his sword in mid-air. Zhang Yun quickly raised his sword to block. Just as he blocked the sword of the sixth elder of the Nascent sect, the fifth elder of the Nascent sect in front of him attacked again with a sword. Facing the siege of the two men, they were a little overwhelmed. Master. Seeing this not far away, Su Ming and Wu Xiaopang couldn't help but take out their weapons and want to step forward to support. But before he could take 2 steps, 2 disciples from the 7th elder of the Nascent sect and 4 disciples brought by the 5th elder and the 6th elder were surrounding him. What, you still want to support your master? One of the tall young men sneered. I don't even know what kind of things you are. Not only will your master stay today, but you also can't even think of leaving. As he spoke, he picked up a spear. The other 5 Nascent sect disciples also took out their weapons and stared at Su Ming and Wu Xiaopang with sneers. Junior brother, 3 per person. Fight quickly. Su Ming didn't pay attention to their words and directly took out a sword and spoke. Understood, senior brother. Wu Xiaopang nodded. The two said, taking the lead and rushing towards the 6 people. Court death. Seeing that they divided the 6 of them among themselves in a few words, and even took the initiative to attack first, the tall young man roared angrily, don't move, I can deal with these 2 losers. As he spoke, he danced and twirled his spear, then swiveled towards Wu Xiaopang who was closer. In his opinion, this little fat man was not very agile at first glance, and he was sure to knock him down with one shot. Bah! Wu Xiaopang's right arm shook when he saw this, and a layer of golden overlord chi surged up on it. He directly raised his fist to face the gun swept by the tall young man. The tall young man sneered, colliding your fist with his gun. This little fat guy is so tired of living. The 5 surrounding Nascent sect disciples also shook their heads and laughed. The tall young man was one of the top 3 disciples in Nascent sect during the chi refining period. His most outstanding thing was the strength of his spear. Among the entire chi refining stage disciples of Nascent sect, it can be said that no one can beat him. In head-to-head confrontations in the same realm, the tall young man has never lost. What's more, it's a spear versus a fist. This little fat guy, at first glance, he didn't know the reputation of their senior brother. Snapped. Soon, Wu Xiaopang's fist collided with the tall young man's spear. just when the 5 Nanshan Sect disciples were expecting Wu Xiaopeng to be stabbed to death with a single shot, they heard a bang sound, and the gun in the tall young man's hand split into two. It was broken directly under this punch. The 5 Nanshan Sect disciples were stunned, the tall young man himself was stunned, and his face changed drastically in the next second. Not good. Without even giving him a chance to breathe, Wu Xiaopeng's punch filled with Overlord's chi broke the spear and continued to hit him. No! Under the screams of the tall young man, boom! Wu Xiaopeng punched him, as if a cannonball was fired. The tall young man's whole body was blasted out, breaking trees along the way and then hitting the ground heavily. He fell to the ground and fainted. The 5 Nanshan Sect disciples were stunned. A head-on collision, a spear versus a fist. The tall young man was actually punched away by this fat guy. No, hide quickly, but before they could think about it, a sharp edge from the side made one of the Nanshan Sect disciples' expression change. Su Ming, who was holding a sword, was already charging towards him. Puff. Before he could even react, the Nanshan Sect disciple was beheaded with a sword. The other 4 Nanshan Sect disciples turned pale with fright, turned around and wanted to run away. But how could Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng let them go? Just like chopping melons and vegetables, the 4 Nanshan Sect disciples fell to the ground in an instant. Brother, I'm faster. That Wu Xiaopeng knocked down the third person with one punch first, and couldn't help but show off Su Ming's grin as he took a step to the side before knocking down the third person. Hurry up and support the master. Su Ming didn't bother to talk to him and rushed forward. Wu Xiaopeng hurriedly followed. Stand there and don't move. But as soon as they took a few steps out, Zhang Yun's voice came from the front. You don't need to participate in the battle for my master. Su Ming and the 2 men stopped immediately. Arrogant, that the 5th and 6th elders of the Nanshan Sect were very annoyed when they saw that Zhang Yun was fighting with them and still had time to pay attention to the other side. They didn't dare to be distracted when they tried their best at this moment. Zhang Yun, who was besieged by him, still had time to be distracted. This was simply an insult to them. But having said that, Zhang Yun asked the 2 apprentices to stop. The 2 glanced at the other side subconsciously. How can it be? Seeing all their disciples fall down, only Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng were standing. Their eyes widened for a moment. How dare you get distracted while fighting with me? You really look down on me. Zhang Yun's voice suddenly came to their ears, causing their expressions to change. Not good. At this moment, Zhang Yun slashed at the 5th elder of the Nanshan Sect with a sword in his right hand, and struck the 6th elder of the Nanshan Sect with 5 entwining seals of spiritual energy lines in his left hand. The 2 elders of the Nanshan Sect subconsciously held their swords and blocked with their knives. However, after waiting for a while, he found that Zhang Yun, who was clearly coming towards him, did not hit him. But, it disappeared in front of you like a bubble. The 2 were shocked. The 6th elder of Nanshan Sect sensed a sudden change in his face and quickly slashed his sword to his side, but the sword was in vain. The 6th elder of Nanshan Sect was stunned. He clearly sensed the presence of Zhang Yun's aura here. Why, the 5th elder of the Nanshan Sect, whose attention was drawn to the side, was also stunned, and his expression suddenly changed. Not good. Just when he was waiting for a reaction, a sword was already in front of his neck. The next second. 5th elder. The last thing he heard was an exclamation from the 6th elder of the Nanshan Sect, and then nothing more. Seeing the head of the 5th elder of Nanshan Sect flying high, the 6th elder of Nanshan Sect was shocked. Being distracted during battle is a big no-no. But the sound that suddenly sounded in his ears the next second made his face change drastically, but it was too late to react. Brush. Zhang Yun struck down another sword with a sword that was too fast to be caught by the naked eye, followed by another flying head. Snapped. Snapped. With 2 sounds of landing, Zhang Yun reached out and used his spiritual energy to wipe away the blood on the sword, and put the long sword back into the storage ring. With a calm look on his face, he reached out and took off the storage rings from the 2 corpses. What are you doing there? Why don't you hurry up and collect your loot? Looking at Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng beside them in a daze, they couldn't help but say, if you don't accept it, I can rob it as a teacher. Su Ming and the others reacted and quickly packed away the belongings of several Nanshan sect disciples, and their admiration for Zhang Yun became even stronger. Zhang Yun's overwhelming response just now turned out to be an act. He was able to deal with 2 golden elixirs in such a blink of an eye. The master is really powerful. Zhang Yun didn't know what they were thinking, and he was breathing out at this time. He really wasn't pretending before. Faced with the siege of 2 Jindanki who were attacking with all their strength, the pressure was not small. Even though he didn't put much effort into killing people at the peak of the Golden Core stage before, in many cases it was because the opponent was looking down upon him, and he exploited his weaknesses and attacked them from the very beginning. Then, there is the hidden body sword technique. The most powerful thing about this set of sword techniques is its confusing nature. Slash out with a sword, confuse the enemy with the released afterimage, and briefly hide yourself to launch a surprise attack from another angle. Combined with his immortal eye technique to see through weaknesses at a glance, he is invincible, but Zhang Yun knows that this kind of invincibility will not exist forever, at least when facing a group attack. If you can't quickly deal with all the enemies, once the enemies discover the secret of his hidden sword technique, it will be troublesome to deal with it. We still have to improve our strength as soon as possible. Thinking about it, Zhang Yun couldn't help but cast his eyes towards Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng. The top priority is to train his 2 disciples to the foundation building stage. Now that we have sufficient resources, we can start preparations after returning to the clan. Gone. After packing up the trophies, he patched up the 7th elder of the Nanshan sect who had just been seriously injured and was unconscious. After sending him to reunite with the other 2 elders, Zhang Yun led his 2 disciples out of the forest. Chapter 43, Sect Leader, Help. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Outside the Nanfeng forest, on the square, whoosh. A sound of breaking wind was heard. It's out. Someone is coming out. There was a commotion in the field. 3 figures were seen stepping on flying swords and rushing out of the forest. It's the elders of Nanshan Sect. That's the 10th elder of Nanshan Sect and his apprentice. Seeing the appearance of the people coming out, there was a low cry in the field. The 10th elder of Nanshan Sect flew out with his apprentice on a sword. With a confident smile on his face, he looked at the area where the people of Nanshan Sect were, but found that it was silent. This made him startled. What's going on? Why are they all so sad? With the results of this exchange meeting, they should have completely crushed Lingxian Sect. For example, he killed a large number of spirit beasts himself, and also tracked the 10th elder of Lingxian Sect named Meng Zhong all the way, and killed all the spirit beasts that the other party might encounter first. It is estimated that Meng Zhong's results, let alone the top 10, may not even be in the top 20. He was so successful, and the other elders all had route maps and tracking mirrors, so they shouldn't be too far behind. Shouldn't everyone be cheering right now? Why are they all so bitter? The 10th elder of Nanshan Sect and the 2 disciples beside him were quite puzzled, and they couldn't help but look at the crystal control monument in the center of the square. In their opinion, the top ranking should all be from Nanshan Sect. First place, the 9th elder of Lingxian Sect. Points, 3305. But they were stunned when they saw the first name. What the hell? First place, Lingxian Sect. More than 3,000 points. Seeing the points behind, they opened their mouths in surprise. 3305 points. Did they see it right? After wiping their eyes and confirming that this scene was real, the 10th elder of Nanshan Sect and his 2 disciples were completely stunned. How could it be possible? How could the points be so high? You know, they were so successful, and the total points accumulated in 3 days were only a little over 1,000, but this was more than 3 times higher than his. Wait, the 9th elder of Lingxian Sect. Isn't this the weird elder? A disciple suddenly thought of something. The 10th elder of Nanshan Sect was startled, and then reacted, and his face was immediately stunned. The first place is the weird elder of Lingxian Sect? Are you sure? Isn't that weird elder in the foundation building stage? How could he be the first and get more than 3,000 points? Also, how come there are 2 elders of Lingxian Sect in the top 10? Logically, they should all be elders of Nanshan Sect. You know, before the exchange meeting started, each elder of their Nanshan Sect got a tracking mirror, which can track the location of the elders of Lingxian sect in real time. Each of their elders is responsible for an elder of Lingxian sect. For example, he is responsible for Meng Zhong, the 10th elder of Lingxian sect. The purpose is to lock the opponent's route, and kill the spirit beasts that the opponent may encounter in advance, so that the elders of Lingxian sect have no spirit beasts to kill. In this way, they can maximize the overall lead of their Nanshan sect elders. In this case, how can there be 3 Lingxian sect elders in the top 10? The most incredible thing is that the first place was taken away. You know, the infant pill was already decided by their elder. Wait, elder. Suddenly realizing something, he hurriedly looked at the ranking on the control monument again. He scanned the top 10, but there was no name of their elder. This made him look down one by one with surprise. He looked all the way to the end, and finally saw the information of their Nanshan sect elder in the 30th place, the second to last position. He was stunned. How is it possible? Their elder at the peak of the golden core stage is actually the second to last. And there is the last one, Nanshan sect's 8th elder. Isn't this Chiu Lu? What the hell is 0 points? Sect Master. Walking towards Nanshan sect's 10th elder wanted to ask a question. Wait, but the Nanshan sect master directly waved his hand to interrupt him, not wanting to listen to him more. At this moment, the leader of Nanshan sect stared at the entrance of Nanfeng Forest, and his fists were clenched tightly under his sleeves. Zhang Yun must be intercepted. This was his only thought at the moment. He had just notified the 3 elders of Nanshan sect to intercept Zhang Yun, and the 10th elder of Nanshan sect was not among them. In his opinion, with the strength of the 5th, 6th, and 7th elders, it should be enough to retain a foundation building period. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As the end time of the exchange meeting approached, a series of wind-breaking sounds came from the forest, and one after another, the elders of the 2 sects flew out on swords. Among them were many elders of Lingxian sect, such as the chief elder of Lingxian sect, such as Meng Zhong. The expressions of the elders of Lingxian sect who came out were not very good, because the journey was not smooth, especially Meng Zhong. He was extremely unlucky in the past 3 days. He searched the central area of Nanfeng Forest thoroughly, but did not encounter many spirit beasts. This made him a little confused. Could it be that the spirit beasts in Nanfeng Forest were slaughtered by strong men not long ago? In the past, there were not so few spirit beasts. If his guess was correct, then the other elders who participated in the exchange meeting would not be in a good situation either. Therefore, Meng Zhong still held a glimmer of hope in his heart when he came out. After all, if the situation is not good, then everyone's points will not be too high. His 505 points may not be in the ranking. Because you know, this exchange meeting will be 3 days, a total of 6 training tasks will be issued, and he has completed all of these 6 training tasks. In this case, his ranking should not be too low. Thinking of this, his eyes looked at the crystal control monument in the center of the field. When he saw the former name of the Lingxian sect behind the first place, his heart couldn't help but jump. He wouldn't be the first, right? With a strong desire in his heart, he continued to look behind the Lingxian sect, 9th elder. When he saw the last 3 words, his brain crashed for a while. The next second he reacted, his eyes suddenly stared, and his mouth couldn't help but open. Zhang Yun. The first place is actually Zhang Yun. Meng Zhong was stunned, completely stunned. How could this be possible? Zhang Yun, the waste of the foundation building period, is actually the first. No, is this ranking written the wrong way? Is this the last one? Thinking of this, Meng Zhong hurriedly continued to look back, but when he saw the score, 3305, at the back, the slightest bit of luck in his heart completely dissipated, and he was completely stunned. First. Zhang Yun, this waste, is actually the first. Also stunned were the Lingxian sect's great elder and others who had just come out. What's going on? Zhang Yun is the first. How is this possible? The elders of the Lingxian sect couldn't believe it, and they all returned to the area where the Lingxian sect was, looking at the Lingxian sect master with a puzzled look on their faces. Master, this ranking. Unbelievable. The Lingxian sect master glanced at them lightly. The elders of the Lingxian sect didn't say anything, but their expressions were the same. This is the truth. The leader of Lingxian Sect suddenly shouted, "What are you guys doing? We have been ranked behind for 3 days. If it weren't for the 9 elders who have always maintained the first place, our sect would have lost all its face." The elders of Lingxian Sect opened their mouths, but they were speechless when they thought about the fact that the process of the past 3 days was not smooth. But it was still a little unbelievable. Zhang Yun has always maintained the first place. How is this possible? But looking at the dazzling 3,305 points, the elders of Lingxian Sect were silent. This score is too exaggerated. There are several people among them, and the total score is even more than this fraction. The leader of Lingxian Sect didn't pay much attention to them. At this time, his eyes couldn't help but stare at the entrance of Nanfeng Forest. Seeing that there was not much time left before the end of the exchange meeting, he couldn't help but frown and couldn't help but look at the Nanshan Sect. Not many elders of Nanshan Sect were found out, and suddenly realized something. His expression changed slightly. The leader of Nanshan Sect also noticed his gaze, but did not show much expression to him, but the more this happened, the more the leader of Lingxian Sect felt depressed and his face looked a little ugly. He was careless. He was only concerned with joy and completely ignored the possible actions that the leader of Nanshan Sect might take. Now. Master, help me. At this moment, a cry for help suddenly came from the Nanfeng Forest. Chapter 44 of Fairy Tales. The attack was a little harsh and I accidentally killed them. You are listening at novelfold.audio. The whole place fell silent, a series of stunned eyes looked towards Nanfeng Forest. Someone is calling for help. The face of the leader of Lingxian Sect changed. He heard that the voice belonged to Zhang Yun. Without saying a word, he immediately flew up and rushed towards the entrance of the forest. Master Lingxian, what do you want to do? But as soon as he rushed out, he was stopped by the leader of the Nanshan Sect next to him. Step aside. The leader of the Lingxian Sect looked coldly. The exchange meeting is not over yet. Could it be that Master Lingxian wants to violate the rules? The head of the Nanshan Sect spoke calmly. He spoke calmly, but in his heart he was cursing the 3 elders of their sect. How could Zhang Yun be given the opportunity to cry out for help? Master Nanshan, don't go too far. The leader of the Lingxian Sect shouted coldly, and the aura of the Nascent Soul Stage filled the air. As soon as this trend came out, the surrounding air became a little depressed. Excessive? Master Lingxian, this sect should say this. The exchange meeting is not over yet, and you want to enter the Nanfeng Forest. This is against the rules. The leader of the Nanshan Sect hummed, and a not-so-weak aura filled the air. 2 Nascent Soul Stage auras collided in mid-air in the square, and the diffuse aura made the entire square become a little depressing. Everyone's body sank, and for a moment they felt that their breathing was not smooth. They looked at the 2 Nascent Soul Stages in the air with horrified expressions on their faces. Mu Wenxuan, who was sitting next to the Crystal Control Monument, narrowed his eyes slightly when he saw this, but after thinking about it, he still didn't say anything to stop him, seeing the atmosphere becoming more and more tense. Sect Master, help me. The elders of Nanshan Sect want to kill me. A shout came from close range, and 3 figures were seen rushing out of the forest with swords. Everyone was stunned. Weird elder, but when he saw clearly the appearance of the first person Yu Qian had taken advantage of, his brows were raised. The 3 people who came out with swords at this moment were Zhang Yun's master and apprentice. Zhang Yun. Seeing him coming out, a hint of surprise flashed in the eyes of the leader of the Lingxian Sect, as well as a hint of surprise. The Nanshan Sect leader on the side was stunned. What's the situation? Why did this guy rush out? Where are the elders of their Nanshan Sect? Why didn't you stop him? Sect Master, help me. The Nanshan Sect elders are ambushing me outside the forest and want to kill me. Zhang Yun looked aggrieved and spoke to the leader of Lingxian Sect again. Asshole. The leader of the Lingxian Sect immediately shouted angrily after hearing this, and looked at the leader of the Nanshan Sect coldly. Master Nanshan, aren't you going to give me an explanation for this matter? The head of the Nanshan Sect frowned, feeling confused at the moment. Out. Why can Zhang Yun come out? He doesn't understand. I don't understand either. I don't even know what their elders are doing and why they let this guy come out. Master Nanshan, why don't you say anything? That the leader of the Lingxian sect couldn't help but snort when he saw that he didn't speak. Hearing this, the leader of the Nanshan sect glanced at Zhang Yun, looked at the leader of the Lingxian sect calmly and said, "This matter is just one-sided words of Elder Zhang." Moreover, in this exchange meeting, there was no saying that fighting is not allowed. Moreover, this elder is not a good person. Has it come out? You never said that fighting is not allowed. Master Nanshan, it seems that what you said before is all nonsense. In this case, there is no need to talk about future cooperation. The leader of Lingxian sect spoke coldly. The head of the Nanshan sect didn't care when he heard this, cooperate. This was just a reason he deliberately made up before, not wanting the leader of the Lingxian sect to be suspicious. However, everyone in the venue looked curious when they heard this conversation, but neither of the two sect leaders had the idea to continue talking. At this moment, Zhang Yun came out and their momentum dissipated. However, the leader of the Lingxian sect still came to Zhang Yun and looked like he was protecting him. The head of the Nanshan sect looked at Zhang Yun coldly and returned to the Nanshan sect's area. "Boy, what's going on?" That the leader of the Lingxian sect sent a message to Zhang Yun to inquire. He was worried at first, but now he saw that Zhang Yun and the others were intact, especially since there seemed to be no minor injuries on their bodies, but it was a little strange. The sect master is the 5th elder, 6th elder and 7th elder of Nanshan sect. They are blocking the outside and ambushing them. Zhang Yun Chuani narrated what had just happened, and said, "But in the end I was slightly better and defeated them." That the leader of the Lingxian sect frowned as he listened, but when he heard this last sentence, his head suddenly stopped. "You said, fuck them?" That he looked at Zhang Yun in shock. "Yes, sect master." Zhang Yun nodded and said, "It's just that the attack was a bit harsh and I accidentally killed them." Kill. The leader of the Lingxian sect stared, but soon realized that he had lost his composure. He coughed lightly and frowned and asked, "Then what was your name just now?" "Sect master, isn't this killing someone?" "You have to complain first, otherwise people will think I am deliberately killing you." Seeing Zhang Yun's innocent look, the leader of the Lingxian sect twitched his lips. "Damn it, sir, it's a shame he was worried for so long. I bet you're totally wrong." But thinking about it, he was still a little surprised. He had some understanding of the 5th elder, 6th elder, and 7th elder of the Lingxian sect. They were all highly accomplished monks at the Golden Core stage. 3 monks of this level ambushed Zhang Yun, but they were able to kill him. Thinking of the 3,305 points at this moment, the leader of the Lingxian sect couldn't help but take a deep look at Zhang Yun. "Sect master, don't look at me like that, I'll be embarrassed." Zhang Yun looked shy. The leader of the Lingxian sect trembled at the corner of his mouth and looked away. Ding. At this time, the crystal control monument in the center of the venue suddenly sounded a prompt. "The exchange meeting is over. The points are fixed." "Oh my god, this is so unexpected, isn't it? This strange elder of the Lingxian sect is actually number 1. There was a commotion in the field, and everyone's eyes were fixed on Zhang Yun. This prompt means that the ranking is fixed. Zhang Yun, this strange elder, actually won the first place in the exchange meeting. Everyone in the Nanshan sect looked downcast. The elders of Lingxian sect had complicated expressions, but most of them were still puzzled. How did Zhang Yun do it? The exchange meeting is over. Now, all the elders who have come out, please take your experience bracelets to the control monument for inspection. Mu Wenchuan suddenly spoke loudly. In order to prevent the occurrence of fraudulent results, the experience bracelets of all the elders are equipped with a recording function. Every time you earn points, you will be videotaped yourself. As soon as these words came out, the whole place fell silent. Immediately they all reacted, and all their eyes focused on Zhang Yun. They only think about rankings and have forgotten about this fake. Zhang Yun's results might be fake. Everyone in the Nanshan sect looked particularly excited. Fake. This weird elder must have faked it. The 3rd elder of Nanshan sect spoke directly. He was the most excited at this moment, because he is the 2nd ranked one. If Zhang Yun is fake, then this 2nd place will immediately become the 1st place. The infant transformation pill. Video, Zhang Yun couldn't help but frown when he heard this. This training bracelet has a recording function. Does that mean that everything he entered into the underground cave was also recorded? Ninth Elder of Lingxian Sect, why don't you come forward to check? Seeing Zhang Yun hesitate on the spot, the third elder of the Nanshan Sect sneered and said, is it possible that he is guilty of guilt? The third elder of Nanshan Sect, right? Zhang Yun glanced at the other party and said directly, are you a starving ghost and reincarnated? What a hurry! Also, before urging others, don't you first look at yourself? You haven't even tested it, so why don't you urge me to test it? Humph, I am not afraid of slanting shadows if I am straight. Let's test it now. The third elder of the Nanshan Sect snorted coldly, and immediately stepped forward and took off his training bracelet. Just put the bracelet on the control monument. Mu Wenxuan gestured. The third elder of Nanshan Sect immediately placed the training bracelet on the monument. As the experience bracelet came into contact with the crystal tablet, a picture suddenly appeared on the surface of the crystal tablet that originally showed the ranking. A black snake appeared on the screen, and was killed by the third elder of the Nanshan Sect with one sword. As soon as the black snake died, the screen immediately jumped, and a sharp-beaked rooster appeared, which was stabbed to death by the third elder of the Nanshan Sect. When the rooster died, the screen jumped again, and changed to the scene of the next spiritual beast being killed. In this picture, the process of killing one spiritual beast after another by the third elder of the Nanshan Sect was clearly played. Do you only record the process of killing spirit beasts to gain points? Zhang Yun raised his eyebrows. If so, then his experience of entering the underground cave was probably not recorded. After all, there are no spiritual beasts in that underground cave. The ninth elder of Lingxian Sect, I have finished the examination, it's your turn. Just as he was thinking about it, the voice of the third elder of the Nanshan Sect came. The eyes of everyone present also gathered towards Zhang Yun. What everyone wants to know most at this moment is whether he committed fraud. After all, this is directly related to a nascent soul pill. The elders of Lingxian Sect looked at Zhang Yun with different expressions. The great elder of Lingxian Sect and others are a bit complicated. On the one hand, they hope that Zhang Yun will be the first to save the face of their Lingxian Sect. On the other hand, they feel that with Zhang Yun's strength, there is no reason to get such points. It must be fake. Meng Zhong felt confident. He absolutely did not believe that Zhang Yun could get so many points. Ignoring everyone's gaze, Zhang Yun had a clear idea of the recorded scene and immediately walked to the crystal control monument. Just put the bracelet on. Mu Wenxuan spoke at the side and looked at Zhang Yun with a strange look in his eyes. He was also a little curious about this strange elder who was not killed by the Lin family. Zhang Yun took off his training bracelet and placed it on the crystal tablet. Buzz. With a burst of light, a picture appeared on the crystal tablet. Spirit Fairy Chapter 45. Is this guy definitely in the foundation building stage? You are listening at novelfold.audio. Seeing him so calm, the three elders of Nanshan Sect and others frowned, especially the leader of Nanshan Sect, who was staring at the exit of Nanfeng Forest with a frown. Zhang Yun has been out for a long time. Why haven't the 5 elders, the 6 elders, and the 7 elders come out yet? He felt a little uneasy. On the crystal tablet, a picture also appeared at this time. First, a black spirit tiger was killed by Su Ming with a sword. Looking at Su Ming's posture in the picture, the eyes of the 2 sects present were slightly condensed. How good is the combat ability? An expert can see at a glance. Su Ming's whole process is not to say that it is smooth, but it can be seen that he is quite experienced in combat. Among the disciples in the Qi refining stage, there are not many who have this ability. The elders of Lingxian Sect looked at Zhang Yun and envied him secretly. This guy really accepted a good disciple. The picture jumped, and then it was the battle between Wu Xiaopang and the green refining snake. Seeing Wu Xiaopang's panicking attitude, afraid of being bitten, everyone shook their heads slightly, and many disciples had a trace of contempt in their eyes. This little fat guy is far inferior to Su Ming. But everyone in Lingxian Sect was surprised, especially Mu Sheng. Although Wu Xiaopang seemed to be flustered and a little embarrassed, the strength he showed was definitely at the high level of Qi refining stage. What's going on? 8 days ago, this person was still a useless registered disciple who was not wanted by the deacon at the sect master peak. How could he have such strength? Mu Xing was stunned. The elders of Lingxian sect also knew this and looked at each other. When did a registered disciple who was not wanted by the deacon have the strength of the high level of qi refining stage? The scene continued to jump to Zhang Yun's challenge to the group of spirit crocodiles. Seeing Zhang Yun kill the foundation-building spirit crocodile king with one punch, everyone present was surprised. Didn't they say that this weird elder fell to the foundation-building stage? Facing a spirit beast of the same realm, not to mention fighting for 800 rounds, but killing it with one punch is too easy, isn't it? Watching the scene where Zhang Yun entered the lake and killed the spirit crocodiles, everyone suddenly understood why Zhang Yun's point suddenly rushed to the top 3 shortly after the exchange meeting started. Obviously, it was because he solved the spirit crocodiles. The scene continued to jump. Su Ming and Wu Xiaopang appeared frequently. Everyone was surprised. Although the name of this exchange meeting was to train the master with the apprentice, in order to hunt spirit beasts, the master basically killed them directly. Zhang Yun got the first place, and he actually had time to train his apprentice like this? 3305 points, how did he do it? The more everyone thought about it, the more incredible it was, but then they saw Zhang Yun encounter a group of rats in the cave and kill a large group of them at a time, and everyone understood, this guy is really lucky. He encountered a nest of low-level spirit beasts that are easy to kill. The elders envied secretly. If they could also encounter such a group of black spirit rats, their points would not be so different. Zhang Yun didn't care what everyone thought. When he saw the screen jump to the hunting of black spirit rats, he was a little nervous. However, he was relieved when he saw that the screen only recorded the process of him hunting the black spirit rats, and then he was sucked into the underground cave and was not recorded. It seems that this experience bracelet really only recorded the process of hunting spirit beasts to gain points. These spirit brown bears are all in the foundation building stage, right? Oh my god. This is weird. No, is the 9th elder of the Lingxian sect so strong? Outrageous. Too outrageous. Suddenly there was a cry of surprise in the field, because the screen jumped to the process of Zhang Yun killing into the brown bear group with a sword, leisurely walking through the garden and hunting one brown bear after another. Seeing this, everyone in the audience was shocked. This kind of foundation-building spirit brown bear is known for its thick skin and flesh, and its defense can even give some Jindan stage cultivators a headache. Zhang Yun is good, cutting one head with a sword like cutting melons and vegetables. Is this guy really in the foundation-building stage? The whole audience focused their attention on Zhang Yun, with disbelief in their eyes. Even the leader of the Lingxian sect was a little surprised. Although he just heard Zhang Yun say that he killed 3 elders of the Nanshan sect, he didn't see it with his own eyes. It might be that Zhang Yun used some tricks and traps to do it. At present, killing the group of spiritual brown bears is a real frontal fight, and with his eyesight, he can see that Zhang Yun's seemingly random swords have accurately found the weaknesses of the corresponding spiritual brown bears. What is this operation? The leader of the Lingxian sect believes that it is not difficult for him to kill the group of spiritual brown bears, but it is difficult to find the weaknesses of each spiritual brown bear and kill it in this way. The leader of the Nanshan sect, Mu Wenxuan, the great elder of the Lingxian sect and a few others also saw this. Everyone looked at Zhang Yun with surprise. How did this guy do it? Mu Wenxuan and the leader of the Nanshan sect looked at each other, and they had a clear idea of why Zhang Yun was able to come out alive. Wow, the Spirit Brown Bear King. It's a Jindan stage Spirit Brown Bear King. Oh my god. At this time, exclamations arose again in the field. On the screen, a huge Spirit Brown Bear King appeared. Everyone present was shocked. A Jindan stage Spirit Brown Bear King. Even if a Jindan stage peak cultivator encountered this, he would have to turn around and run away. Because that defense is not something that a Jindan stage peak cultivator can break. However, the next scene in the picture made everyone open their mouths wide. On the screen, Zhang Yun was as fast as a blue lightning, and pierced the pupil of the Spirit Brown Bear King with a sword, and then, the huge body of the Spirit Brown Bear King fell down with a bang, and rolled on the ground in pain. One sword. Zhang Yun stabbed down the Spiritual Brown Bear King of the Golden Core stage with just one strike of his sword. The whole place was silent. A pair of eyes looked at Zhang Yun, all filled with shock and disbelief. Damn, is this definitely the foundation building period? Master is so awesome. Without looking at the shocked people in the field, Wu Xiaopeng couldn't help but laugh. Su Ming on the side also smiled. They were shocked for a long time, and now everyone present clearly understood their feelings at that time. How is this possible? Meng Zhong opened his mouth wide open, his face full of disbelief. Such a spiritual brown bear king should not be an opponent even if Zhang Yun's previous cultivation level has not fallen. Now that his cultivation level has declined, he can actually defeat him with one sword. What a joke. Also, why can Zhang Yun come out? Didn't the Lin family take action? He had already asked Nye Ji to inform the Lin family of the news. This exchange meeting between the two sects was such a good opportunity, so the Lin family had no reason not to take action. Aren't you afraid of letting Zhang Yun's disciple Su Ming grow up? Meng Zhong suddenly thought of it at this time. He had been so surprised at Zhang Yun's points before that he had forgotten about it, but now he was filled with doubts when he thought about it. Could it be that the Lin family was underestimating it and the people they sent failed to deal with Zhang Yun? Thinking of this, Meng Zhongtang couldn't help but secretly scold the Lin family for being idiots. If you miss such a good opportunity, you will be killed in the future. Looking at Zhang Yun's posture in the picture, Meng Zhong couldn't help but feel fear, and for a moment his head shrank back into the crowd, seeing Zhang Yun casually piercing the chest of the spirit brown bear king with his sword, killing him. The whole audience was silent. Killed. A spiritual brown bear king in the golden elixir stage was actually killed by Zhang Yun. At this moment, everyone finally understood why Zhang Yun's points always soared. This means killing a group of spiritual beasts at every turn, including even large spiritual beasts like the golden core stage. How can the points not go up? The scene that followed was of Zhang Yun and his two apprentices hunting spiritual beasts in the next 2 days, which was not too shocking. But Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng surprised everyone by showing their strength one after another. The progress of these two people is so fast. At the beginning, it was a bit difficult to face the spirit beasts in the qi refining stage. In the end, killing a head during the foundation stage became easy. Especially Wu Xiaopeng, it's like a different person, but what is more concerning is the golden aura released by Wu Xiaopeng, which is obviously some kind of transcendent aura energy. This little fat guy who looks ordinary on the outside may have some kind of special physique. The leader of the Lingxian sect couldn't help but look deeply at Wu Xiaopeng. Before this, he had no idea that there was such a disciple hidden in their sect. When we look back, we have to find out the specific situation. The elders of the Lingxian sect couldn't help but look at Mu Xing at this moment, as if asking, "Are you sure this is a registered disciple that even the deacons don't want?" Mu Xing's mouth twitched when he faced the gazes of the elders, but he himself was also in disbelief. This little fat Wu is obviously very ordinary, so how could he have a special physique? Thinking that before the exchange meeting, he had vowed to ridicule Zhang Yun for his lack of vision and taking in a useless apprentice. He felt his cheeks burning. Damn Deacon Li! All the resentment in his heart was directed at Deacon Li, the leader of the sect at that time, who had abandoned Wu Xiaopeng. If it weren't for the other party's poor eyesight, which even the genius disciple couldn't see, there wouldn't be such a situation. Deacon Li, if you accept bribes, I will punish you severely when I return. Mu Xing thought fiercely in his heart. Fairyland Chapter 46 The End. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the scene was played, there was silence. Third elder of the Nanshan sect, do you think I'm lying? That it was Zhang Yun's faint voice that broke the silence. Everyone suddenly looked at the third elder of the Nanshan sect. The latter's mouth twitched, looking a little embarrassed for everyone to see. Even the golden core spiritual brown bear king can be killed. If this is fake, then none of the elders' results in this exchange meeting can be considered true. Master Nanshan, I think our bet can be settled, right? Zhang Yun looked at the master of Nanshan sect again, smiled lightly and spoke. As soon as these words came out, everyone reacted immediately, just being surprised. They all forgot about it. Zhang Yun ranked first with 3,305 points, while Qiu Lu firmly occupied the other first place with 0 points from the beginning to the end. It's clear who wins and who loses. The head of the Nanshan sect twitched his lips. He couldn't refuse it in front of everyone, so he could only hum and put a storage ring on it and threw it to Zhang Yun. Zhang Yun reached out and took it and inspected it. It contained 110,000 spiritual stones. The other party even counted Qiu Lu's 10,000, and obviously guessed Qiu Lu's situation. He immediately smiled and said, "Thank you Nanshan Sect Master for your generous gift. If we have the opportunity in the future, we can bet against each other again." That the head of the Nanshan Sect turned his head away and did not want to pay attention to him. Zhang Yun didn't care and walked back to Lingxian Sect. The elders of Lingxian Sect looked at him with complicated expressions in their eyes. I thought Zhang Yun was just fooling around with the Nanshan Sect leader in a bet, but it turned out 110,000 spiritual stones. Just looking at them makes me jealous. But what shocked them even more was Zhang Yun's strength. The broken golden elixir has fallen to the foundation building stage. This was the result of personal inspection by the sect leader at their sect meeting at that time. Why, in less than half a month, Zhang Yun's strength has not deteriorated, but has become stronger than when he was in the golden elixir stage. They are incomprehensible. The great elder of the Lingxian sect made some calculations. As a person at the peak of the golden core stage, he thought that it would be difficult to kill the spiritual brown bear king. However, in the previous scene, Zhang Yun clearly discovered that the weak point of the spirit brown bear king was his pupils. If he can discover this, then he can also kill it, but the point is, you can find it. He thinks it's hard to find. After all, the weaknesses of spiritual beasts are not the same for everyone. Even if they are both spiritual brown bears, some weaknesses may be the pupils, some may be the buttocks, and some may be other parts. Facing a spirit beast like the spirit brown bear king with astonishing body defense and strong destructive power, even a peak golden core stage monk would not be able to test its weaknesses everywhere. Because in just a few moves, the spirit brown bear king will be able to send you flying. It may have been luck that Zhang Yun struck the spirit brown bear king's weak point with his sword, but it was an indisputable fact that he was killed. The great elder of Lingxian sect looked at Zhang Yun and regarded him as a monk of the same level. Zhang Yun ignored his gaze and returned to the two apprentices. He touched the little heads of the two bear cubs exposed by their clothes. This is, that the elders of the Lingxian sect noticed the bear cub, and their expressions showed a trace of confusion. The great elder of Lingxian sect couldn't help but ask, "Ninth elder, is this the cub of the Lingxian bear king you killed?" Zhang Yun glanced at him and nodded slightly. The elders of the Lingxian sect were short of breath. This was the cub of the golden elixir stage spiritual beast. When you grow up in the future, you will probably become the spiritual brown bear king like in the previous picture. Now you get two heads. They couldn't help but feel envious. This is even more true for the disciples around them. It can be seen that Zhang Yun has given two bear cubs to Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng to raise. This is a golden elixir stage spirit beast cub. As disciples, it may be difficult for them to get one in their lifetime. Thinking that they thought it was a pity for Su Ming to take Zhang Yun as his teacher, they couldn't help but smile bitterly. Now let them choose. They are eager to change their master to Zhang Yun. That scene of the soul-killing brown bear king is so majestic and domineering. Look at their own master. Well, sometimes the master is better than the master, and the gap is not small. The exchange meeting ended, but everyone did not leave because there was still an hour of waiting time. There are still some elders who have not come out yet, and the waiting time is not over. The final top 10 cannot be determined. Zhang Yun, are you sure you killed the 3 elders of Nanshan sect? That at this time, the leader of Lingxian sect suddenly sent a message to Zhang Yun. Yes, master. Zhang Yun responded via voice message. Here you go. That the leader of Lingxian sect gave him an appreciative look. Zhang Yun shrugged, understanding what the other party meant. Among the current top 10, only 4 of the 7 elders from the Nanshan sect have entered the top 10. There were 3 others, the 5th, 6th, and 7th elders who were killed by him. After an hour, if these 3 people cannot come out, the results will be invalid. At that time, they will be filled by those ranked 11th to 13th. Among these 3, 12 and 13 are respectively the 4th elder and the 6th elder of their Lingxian sect. The addition of these 2 elders means that 5 of the final top 10 will be from their Lingxian sect. Coupled with the fact that Zhang Yun won the first place, this result is equivalent to them completely defeating the Nanshan sect. The leader of the Lingxian sect couldn't help but curl up the corner of his mouth when he thought about it. The more he looked at Zhang Yun, the more satisfied he became. This time I return to the sect, I will definitely give this boy a great credit. An hour passed quickly, and no elder came out of Nanfeng Forest. The head of the Nanshan sect looked extremely ugly and couldn't help but glance at Zhang Yun. He had already guessed what happened to the 5th elder, 6th elder, and 7th elder, thinking that Zhang Yun was still there shouting for help when he just came out. He became furious. This damn weird elder. Zhang Yun noticed his gaze and immediately gave him a polite smile. Asshole, that the head of the Nanshan sect became even more angry when he saw this. Kill. This weird elder must be killed. The time is up, the rankings are confirmed. Is it time for the rewards to be distributed? That at this time, the leader of Lingxian sect spoke. Everyone in the field came back to their senses, and their eyes fell on the crystal control monument at this moment. The top 10 had already been replaced. Lingxian sect occupied the 1st, 4th, 7th, 9th and 10th places. The 5, 6, and 7 elders who fell out of the Nanshan sect were originally ranked 4th, 5th, and 6th, while the 11th to 13th places were being made up. The 1st elder and 2nd elder of the Lingxian sect, who were originally ranked 7th and 10th, were now ranked 4th and 7th. The exchange meeting is officially over. Congratulations to all the elders who entered the top 10. Mu Wenxuan stood up at this time and said, "Now, the elders who are in the top 10, please come forward to receive the award." Hearing this, Zhang Yun and others immediately stepped forward. Congratulations to the 9th elder of the Lingxian sect for receiving an infant transformation pill. Mu Wenxuan smiled and took out a delicate wooden box, opened it slightly, and a strong medicinal fragrance suddenly spurted out. Everyone who smelled it was refreshed and looked at the wooden box with burning eyes. Mu Wenxuan handed it over with a smile. The 9th elder has put it away. Zhang Yun took it and immediately covered the seam, and put the wooden box away under the heated gaze of the audience. Don't worry about my things. He glanced at everyone. The sharp gaze made many people staring at him tremble. Thinking of the scene in the previous scene where Zhang Yun killed the spiritual brown bear king, they did not dare to look any further. Upon seeing this, Zhang Yun turned around, nodded to Mu Wenxuan in front of him, and walked back to Lingxian sect. He didn't say much to Mu Wenxuan, although I know that this guy is working with the Lin family and the Nanshan sect to get him, at least for now. It is not appropriate to break up with him openly. After all, the South Treasure Pavilion behind the opponent is a giant, and Zhang Yun thinks that he can't match it yet. If we can't beat him, we'll just sit there and wait until we can beat him in the future. As the so-called gentleman takes revenge, 10 years is never too late. The remaining 9 people quickly received their rewards, and this exchange meeting between the two sects officially came to an end. Elderly, Nanfeng City will continue to be left to you. That the leader of the Lingxian sect looked at the old man in gorgeous clothes who had been beside him. Please rest assured, sect master, that the old man in rich clothes nodded. The leader of the Lingxian sect immediately looked at the elders. Let's go back to the sect with me. Yes, that the elders of the Lingxian sect responded, took their disciples and stood up with their swords, and followed the master of the Lingxian sect back towards the Lingxian sect with confidence. 15 Lingxian sect elders came this time, and now there are 15 people coming out. There is no need to stay after they are all present. The head of Nanshan sect and others did not leave because they still had many elders who had not come out. Although the head of the Nanshan sect had guessed something, he still didn't want to believe it. The great elder, the 5th elder, the 6th elder, the 7th elder, and the 8th elder, a total of 5 elders did not come out. If all of them, the Nanshan sect leader did not dare to think about it, especially the elder of their sect. This is also the strangest thing about him. With the strength of their Nanshan sect elders, there is no reason why they would not be able to get out. Even if Zhang Yun showed the strength to kill the spiritual brown bear king, he did not believe that he had the ability to kill their great elder. What's more, he didn't arrange for their elder to find Zhang Yun. He didn't think it was certain whether the two of them would meet. Therefore, there is only one possibility. Their great elder is trapped somewhere in the South Wind Forest. There is another very important thing, the Lin family. Thinking of this, the head of the Nanshan sect couldn't help but look at Mu Wenxuan. Without saying much, the two parties entered the Nanfeng Forest together. Some of the onlookers wanted to follow, but were stopped directly by the Nanshan sect monks. No one is allowed to enter the entrance of this place before finding the elders of our sect. Any intruders will be regarded as enemies of our sect. that the head of the Nascent Sect directly used the momentum of the Nascent Soul Stage to make a sound that resounded in all directions. Many monks in the square frowned, but due to the intimidation of the Nascent Soul Stage, they still did not dare to follow. Chapter 48, Sect Competition. You are listening at novelfold.audio. On the way back to Lingxian Sect from Nanfeng Forest. Zhang Yun sensed something and took out a buzzing sound transmission stone from his arms. Belongs to the Nanshan Sect's great elder, that he checked the mark. When collecting the trophies before, he marked the sound transmission stones of several Nanshan Sect elders for easy identification, but the key point right now is, how can this sound transmission stone ring? At this moment, the distance between him and Nanfeng Forest Plaza is far more than 5 miles. Even if someone contacts him, there should be no ring. After pondering for a moment, he opened the sound transmission stone. Immediately, several voices were heard in succession. Great Elder, what are you doing in the depths? Great Elder, why don't you return to our sect? Great Elder, did you discover anything? That the voice clearly belonged to the head of the Nanshan Sect. As expected, I went after the training token. Zhang Yun turned around and looked in the direction of Nanfeng Forest, with a sneer on his lips. Fortunately, I was on guard. Otherwise, if you really put the training token of Nanshan Sect's master and disciple in the underground cave, the opponent might find it. When the news spreads, it will be endless trouble for him. Now placed deep in the South Wind Forest, thinking of the obvious feeling that he was being watched when he left, Zhang Yun thought to himself, we should be able to run into him, right? It would be better if more people die. Thinking fiercely, Nanshan Sect has now been listed as his enemy, and he hopes that the other party will perish as soon as possible. Is this sound transmission stone a special sound transmission stone? Looking at the sound transmission stone in his hand, Zhang Yun suddenly thought of something. Now he was at least hundreds of miles away from the depths of Nanfeng Forest. This sound transmission stone could still transmit messages. All he could think of was a special sound transmission stone. Does Nanshan Sect still have such a thing? Zhang Yun raised his eyebrows. In the memory of his fused predecessor, he knew that this was a product of the Central Territory and was rare in the Southern Territory. No wonder they informed those 3 elders to intercept me. Thinking of the previous interception by the 3 elders of Nanshan Sect, Zhang Yun let out a sigh of relief. He was actually a little confused about this before, but now he understands it. The sound transmission stones obtained from the 3 elders were also taken out. These 3 pieces are obviously also special sound transmission stones. Ming, little fat guy, you can use this sound transmission stone from now on. Zhang Yun immediately took out 2 pieces, handed them to Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng behind him and said, this is a special sound transmission stone. The sound transmission distance can reach 5,000 miles. 5,000 miles. Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng were surprised. As far as they know, the sound transmission stone is just a communication tool that can travel 5 miles. 5,000 miles, this was the first time they heard about it. It's a pity that Huang Laodao has left. Zhang Yun let out a breath. If Huang Laodao hadn't left, he could just give him a piece, which would make it much easier to deliver news in the future. Shaking his head, Zhang Yun didn't think any more and concentrated on using his sword to keep up with the leader of the Lingxian Sect and others in front. Soon, everyone returned to Lingxian Sect, the respective disciples were sent back to each peak, and the elders followed the sect leader to the sect master peak, in the main hall. Are the elders satisfied with the results of this exchange meeting? The leader of the Lingxian Sect sat high on the throne and glanced at the elders present. The expressions of all the elders were different. Satisfy. Although the overall results this time are better than those of Nanshan Sect, individual. All the elders looked at Zhang Yun. Zhang Yun looked calm. Except for the 9th elder, all of you have greatly disappointed me this time. At this time, the head of the Nanshan Sect suddenly shouted. The atmosphere in the entire hall darkened. All the elders lowered their heads. Even the great elder of Lingxian Sect was no exception. Even though he finished 4th, if he hadn't made up for it, his real result would have been 7th. You know, the goal he was set at the beginning was at least the top 3. For this reason, the leader of the Lingxian Sect gave him some tools to improve his combat power before the exchange meeting. As a result, I have not performed well this time. I am willing to punish myself with 3 months' salary. That the great elder of Lingxian sect stood up on his own initiative and spoke in a deep voice. We are also willing to punish ourselves with 3 months' salary. Seeing this, the other elders stood up one after another, although they felt a little pained. 3 months will be waived, and each elder will be punished with 1 month's salary. That the leader of the Lingxian sect spoke calmly, and suddenly looked at Zhang Yun. There are punishments and rewards. This time, the 9th elder has performed well. As a reward, the 9th elder can choose any treasure from the treasure house. Zhang Yun's eyes lit up when he heard this. The Lingxian sect's treasure house contains all kinds of rare treasures collected by the Lingxian sect in the past 100 years since its establishment. All the elders present looked at Zhang Yun with envy. Not only can you get the infant transformation pill, but you can also enter the treasure house. The leader of the Lingxian sect added, in addition, the results of this exchange meeting will be included in this year's elder ranking. The 9th elder, as the first in the exchange meeting, received 50 points. Hearing this, all the elders were silent. The annual ranking of Lingxian sect elders has a total score of 100 points. The annual disciple contest accounts for the majority and can score up to 50 points. For daily disciple activities during the year, a maximum of 50 points can be accumulated. The master of the Lingxian sect was immediately filled up, and it was clear that he intended to let Zhang Yun rise in the rankings. Fortunately, he could be ranked in the top 3 after the disciple competition, but no one said anything at the moment. With the strength Zhang Yun showed at the exchange meeting, even if the leader of the Lingxian sect directly announced that he had overturned the previous proposal to dismiss him, no one would have any objections. After all, the reason for his previous dismissal was that Zhang Yun had regressed from the golden elixir stage and was not strong enough. And now Zhang Yun's strength. The elders looked at themselves and shook their heads. 2.5 months later, there will be a disciple competition. The leader of the Lingxian sect said, at the same time, this year is also the year of the Nanyunsu sect competition. Therefore, the disciples who enter the top 50 in this disciple competition will also be qualified to participate in the sect competition. That the elders were refreshed. Sect competition. This is an event that has been passed down in Nanyun Prefecture for nearly 100 years. It is held every 3 years and is jointly organized by the 36 large and small sects in Nanyun Prefecture. The main purpose is to compete for a place to go to the immortal secret realm. The immortal secret realm is an ancient secret realm that appeared in the southern region 100 years ago. It is said that it was passed down by the immortals. There are countless rare objects inside, and there are even immortal inheritances hidden inside. It is opened every 3 years. There are special restrictions in the secret area, and a maximum of 100 monks at the golden core stage and 500 monks at the lower realm can enter at one time. The 6 states in the southern region each occupy a certain quota according to the strength of each state. Among the 500 places for disciples at the realm below the golden core stage, Nanyunsu only got 50. There were too many monks, so a sect competition was held in Nanyun Prefecture. Disciples from various sects in 36 directions participated in the competition to compete for the 50 places. For everyone in the Lingxian sect, this is a major event that occurs every 3 years, because as long as the disciples who enter the immortal secret realm and come out alive will gain a lot. For example, among the 18 elders of the Lingxian sect, many quickly broke through to the golden core stage after entering the immortal secret realm. The leader of the Lingxian sect said, use the last 2 months to prepare as much as possible. Yes, sect master, everyone responded. The 9th elder will stay for a while, and the others can go. The leader of Lingxian sect waved his hand, and the elders immediately dispersed. Zhang Yun and the leader of the Lingxian sect were suddenly left in the hall. Sect master, I have something to report. Before the leader of the Lingxian sect could speak, Zhang Yun had already spoken. The leader of the Lingxian sect was startled and looked at him in confusion. Zhang Yun was about to be attacked by the Lin family before, along with his guesses and a series of things that Meng Zhong reported. The Lin family in Nanyun City. The leader of the Lingxian sect focused his eyes upon hearing this, and then frowned. You said it was the disciples sent by the 10 elders who sent the news to the Lin family? Yes, sect master. I forced this out of the mouth of the Lin family. Zhang Yun nodded and looked at the leader of the Lingxian sect, who was deep in thought. with a calm expression on his face, he had thought about the Lin family's affairs early in the morning and informed the master of the Lingxian sect. After all, if the Lin family's Yuaningqi came for him, he would still have to count on the leader of the Lingxian sect to stand in his way. In addition, after he came out, he did not immediately trouble Meng Zhong because of the face of the leader of Lingxian sect. This sect knows about this. After being silent for a while, the leader of Lingxian sect said, "Don't worry too much about the Lin family. If they dare to come, our sect will deal with it. But in the next period of time, you'd better not leave the sect." The other 10 elders sighed. "Sect master, I can't let him go." Zhang Yun spoke calmly, regardless of whether Meng Zhong poisoned him secretly. This time he contacted the Lin family to take action against him, which had already touched his bottom line. Even if he is an elder from the same sect, he cannot let him go. The leader of the Lingxian sect was silent for a moment, then sighed and looked deeply at Zhang Yun. "If you want to take action, this sect cannot stop you. We have only one request: you are not allowed to take action within the sect." "Sect master, I understand." Hearing this, Zhang Yun smiled. What he wants is the words of the master of Lingxian sect. "Okay, let's go to the treasure house and choose a treasure. I'm tired and ready to rest." The leader of the Lingxian sect casually threw a token. He didn't bother to say what he originally wanted to say. He exhaled and lay down in his position with his eyes closed. "Thank you, master." Zhang Yun took the token and retreated from the hall. After he left, the leader of the Lingxian sect who was lying down suddenly opened his eyes and said as if talking to himself, "My dear, what do you think? It's a bit strange. The golden elixir is obviously broken, but in a short period of time, it has stronger combat power than before. It's not normal." In the shadow of the corner of the hall, the void suddenly distorted, and a figure wearing a transparent robe appeared. The leader of Lingxian sect looked at the figure. "Is it possible to be involved with those people?" The figure is silent. "Send someone to keep an eye on him," the leader of the Lingxian sect said calmly. "Besides, you should go and have a look at the Lin family." "Yes." The figure responded, put on a transparent robe and disappeared. The leader of the Lingxian sect looked outside the sect, closed his eyes, and murmured to himself, "What a troubled time." Fairyland Chapter 49 Cloud Sky Sword. You are listening at novelfold.audio. The treasure house is in the mountain area behind the sect's main peak. Zhang Yun still asked several people along the way before he found the location. "Hey, is it you?" But when he arrived at the treasure house, he couldn't help but be startled when he saw the middle-aged deacon in front of him. "Aren't you in the Spirit Stone treasure house?" "Your Excellency, you have admitted your mistake." The middle-aged deacon heard this and said calmly, "If it is Ling Shiku, then the person you saw before should be my twin brother, Mingxi. I am Mingfa." Mingxi Mingfa, twin brothers? Zhang Yun was surprised. Although the person in front of him looked the same, his eyebrows were indeed a bit colder than the one at that time. "I had never heard of twin deacons before, but it's not too surprising. There are many deacons on the sect's main peak. Some of them hold important positions, and they are the kind of people who stay close to home and rarely see them on weekdays. For example, the person in front of me is responsible for guarding the treasure house. It is self-evident how important his responsibility is. I wonder who you are." The Mingfa deacon obviously didn't recognize him either. "I am Zhang Yun, the 9th elder, here to get the treasure." Zhang Yun opened his mouth and immediately took out the token given by the sect leader. "It turns out to be the 9th elder, please come with me." Seeing the token, Mingfa's eyes narrowed, and he immediately made a "please" gesture and walked towards the stairs of the treasure house behind him. Zhang Yun followed. Under the stairs is an underground corridor. There are more than 10 hidden restrictions along the corridor, one every 2 meters. If you walk down without knowing anything, it will be triggered in minutes. At the end of the corridor is an iron door with 3 locks, and there are obviously restrictions on the lock. Mingfa took 3 keys and opened them in different orders. This treasure house is heavily defended. Zhang Yun sighed secretly. Mingfa said, "9th elder, you can enter and choose any treasure. Please come out immediately after choosing." Zhang Yun nodded and walked into the treasure house. The treasure house is very large, with rows of cabinets and shelves. There are brocade boxes in the front half, and there is a nameplate hanging next to each item. High-quality elixir, lotus leaf flower. High-quality spiritual liquid, refined spiritual liquid. The best elixir, meridians activating elixir, all begin with the word, needless to say, top-grade elixirs, top-grade spiritual liquids, and elixirs are all prepared and refined using top-grade elixirs. The levels of spiritual liquid and elixir correspond to the elixir materials used, the levels of elixirs and spiritual liquids also echoed the elixirs, and were divided into 5 grades, low grade, medium grade, high grade, top grade, and holy grade. Like Huaying Dan, it belongs to the category of top-quality elixirs, in addition to elixirs, spiritual fluids, and elixirs. The treasure house in front of you also has many other treasures, such as martial arts and combat skills, the spirit gathering array discs that the second and third places in the previous exchange meeting could get, and the spirit beast crystal nuclei, etc. Wait, each piece is of great value. Especially one of the volumes of spiritual level skills. If Zhang Yun had not opened the 10,000 Realms Kung Fu Pavilion in the Immortal Master World, then he would definitely have chosen this volume of Kung Fu without hesitation. But now that there is the 10,000 Realms Kung Fu Pavilion, he is not that interested even in the spiritual level Kung Fu. Moreover, this spiritual level skill is of thunder attribute. If he wants to practice it, he has to convert his spiritual energy into thunder attribute spiritual energy, which directly locks the direction of his future cultivation. This is not what he wants. He looked away and glanced around. Yuntian sword, a quasi-spiritual weapon, a silver-white sword attracted Zhang Yun's attention. Yuntian sword, level, intermediate spiritual weapon, incomplete, introduction. It is made of the finest materials, cloud iron, and the remnant soul of Skylark, a golden elixir stage spiritual beast. In its complete state, the Skylark remnant soul, as a sword spirit, can inspire the power of cloud iron and bring out the greatest edge of this sword. But it is currently in a mutilated state. This sword has been damaged in the past, and the remaining soul of its sword spirit Skylark has been destroyed. Repair method: find another Skylark remnant soul to attach to this sword. Note, in the current state, the power of a quasi-spiritual weapon can be exerted at most, and its power is between ordinary sharp weapons and low-level spiritual weapons. The information brought by the Immortal Master's Sky Eye surprised Zhang Yun. This sword was actually an intermediate spiritual weapon. Spiritual weapons are divided into 4 levels: low level, intermediate, high level, and top level. With each higher level, the spiritual weapon is comparable to a qualitative change, and the power it can exert is completely different. Like Huang Laodao's soul control flag before, it was just a low-level spiritual weapon. If it were an intermediate spiritual weapon, it would be so easy for Zhang Yun to control the opponent easily. It's you. Zhang Yun did not hesitate and directly chose the Yuntian sword. Although it is not as incomplete as a real mid-level spiritual weapon, it is at least made of mid-level spiritual weapon materials. At least it was much stronger than the sharp sword he was using now. First of all, the ability to attach spiritual energy is incomparable to sharp weapons. After the selection, Zhang Yun walked out of the treasure house and left the treasure house after registering with Ming. Mu Sheng, you are a bastard. You abused your personal power to remove me. I will definitely make you regret it in the future. As soon as I came down from the back mountain and reached the mountainside of Sect Master Peak, I heard a burst of curses and chatter. I saw a middle-aged man in Taoist robes who looked embarrassed, standing on the steps of the sect's main peak and cursing. Zhang Yun raised his eyebrows, because the other party was surprisingly the same Deacon Li who had abandoned Wu Xiaopeng the previous time he came to the Sect Master Peak. Looking at the large and small bags on the other person's body at the moment, Zhang Yun touched his chin. Is this a case of packing up and leaving? Deacon Li also noticed Zhang Yun coming down from the sect leader's peak, and he immediately cursed. Ninth Elder, you are also a bastard. If you don't say anything about stealing my apprentice, and you still file a complaint against me with the sect leader, I will never be done with you in the future. Zhang Yun's mouth twitched. I didn't plan to pay attention to him at first, but now I walked directly towards the other party. Seeing him approaching, Deacon Li's expression changed. What do you want to do? What not to do? Zhang Yun approached and said calmly, just to give Deacon Li a ride as we are about to leave. As he spoke, he suddenly stepped forward, quickly ducked behind Deacon Li, and kicked him in the butt. With this scream, Deacon Li flew directly into the clouds and fog towards the foot of the mountain. Thump. It fell accurately into a pond at the foot of the mountain dozens of meters below. Asshole. The wolf stood up from the pond, and Deacon Li glared at him. Zhang Yun immediately raised his feet as if he wanted to pursue him. Deacon Li's face changed in fright, and he rushed out of the pond and ran away. Zhang Yun rolled his eyes and raised his hand toward the woods behind him. Mu Sheng, there's no need to thank me. Just treat me to a meal next time. No one responded. Zhang Yun didn't care, and left with his sword after coming down the mountain. After he left, Mu Sheng, who was hiding behind a tree, came out and looked at Zhang Yun's retreating back with a sad face. Invite you to dinner. Why don't you go to heaven? He snorted and turned to leave. South Wind Forest, the embarrassed Nanshan Sect leader rushed out from the depths and breathed a sigh of relief when he looked at the Nascent Soul Stage spirit beast behind him that had not caught up with him. No matter who it is, wait for me. But when he saw the tattered robes and several wounds that were still stinging on his body, he couldn't help but grit his teeth. At this moment, he still doesn't understand that the Great Elder's training token was deliberately thrown into the depths. But what he was not sure about at this moment was whether the lost token was the Grand Elder of their Nanshan Sect himself or someone else. After all, if the Great Elder was killed by the Nascent Soul Stage spirit beast, there would definitely be traces, and he wouldn't just leave such a token behind. Either their Great Elder got some treasure and deliberately dropped the token and ran away knowing that it would be tracked, or someone killed their Great Elder and left the token there, and if it's the latter, most likely, the head of the Nanshan Sect looked firmly in the direction of the Lingxian Sect. Zhang Yun. He didn't know why, but the name popped into his head, but regardless of whether it was true or not, he would definitely kill Zhang Yun. If it weren't for Zhang Yun, their Nanshan Sect would never have ended up like this in this exchange meeting. Wait for me. Fairyland Chapter 50 Su Ming establishes the foundation. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Lingxian Sect, inside the Ninth Peak Cave Mansion. Let's start. Looking at Su Ming sitting cross-legged in front of him, Zhang Yun spoke. Su Ming nodded and immediately closed his eyes, and strands of golden dragon spiritual energy spread out from his body. Hold head high. Soon, a dragon roar sounded. The shadow of the golden dragon appeared on Su Ming. Zhang Yun didn't waste any time and directly took out thousands of spiritual stones and placed them in front of him. As Su Ming activated the 9 transformations of the golden dragon, he could clearly feel that the spiritual energy of the surrounding world began to gather towards him. At the same time, the thousands of spiritual stones in front of Zhang Yun also turned into thousands of spiritual energy streams and surged towards him. The golden dragon phantom on Su Ming's body opened his big mouth and began to absorb it frantically. From slow to fast, in less than 2 minutes, the thousands of spiritual stones placed in front of Zhang Yun had been absorbed. Rock-sucking monster, rock-sucking monster. Zhang Yun shook his head slightly and took out another 1,000 spiritual stones from the storage ring to make up for it. However, all these 1,000 spirit stones were absorbed in less than half a minute. Seeing the golden dragon phantom on Su Ming's body with its mouth wide open, Zhang Yun really wanted to punch it. But he waved his hand and took out another 1,000 spiritual stones. As soon as the spirit stone came out, the golden dragon phantom immediately made a humane movement of opening its mouth and inhaling. Once it inhaled, thousands of strands of spiritual energy poured into its mouth. Another breath, and thousands of spiritual stones were all scrapped. Hold head high. I saw the golden dragon phantom continuing to open its mouth, looking like, I'm not full. Your uncle. Zhang Yun cursed in a low voice. If he hadn't known that the golden dragon phantom was transformed from the mutated golden dragon spiritual roots in Su Ming's body, he would have doubted whether this greedy dragon had snatched away his apprentice. He immediately took out 2,000 spiritual stones. The golden dragon phantom continued to suck with his mouth open. 1 mouthful, 2 mouthfuls, 3 mouthfuls. 2,000 spiritual stones are gone. The golden dragon shadow still had his mouth open, resisting the urge to destroy it. Zhang Yun gritted his teeth and threw out 5,000 spiritual stones. I still don't believe it, you can still suck me to the end. Belch. 5,000 spiritual stones were obviously too much. After the golden dragon phantom absorbed half of it, it let out a satisfied burp and blended directly into Su Ming's body, boom. The next second, Su Ming's breath, which had been rising slowly, suddenly surged upward. In just a blink of an eye, he broke through the 9th level of the Qi refining stage and reached the peak of the 10th level. Then he charged upward crazily, and Zhang Yun's immortal master heavenly eyes clearly showed a rapidly beating progress of cultivation, 10%, 20%, 30%, coming to 100% soon. Hold head high. Just hearing a dragon's roar that resounded in all directions, Su Ming's aura directly broke through the peak of the Qi refining stage and went straight to the foundation. 1, 2, 3, 9 golden dragon shadows in a row rushed out of Su Ming's body one after another at this moment, surrounding him and finally converging into a golden dragon shadow with angry eyes. Buzz. Su Ming's eyes also opened at the same time, a pair of pupils widened, and 2 golden dragons emerged from them. The shape of the entire pupil can be seen with the naked eye changing from a circle to a prismatic shape like a dragon pupil, the 9th transformation of the golden dragon, the 2nd transformation of the golden dragon pupils, done. Zhang Yun smiled. Your disciple Su Ming's cultivation has broken through from the 9th level of the Qi refining stage to the 1st level of the foundation establishment stage, and you will receive a hundredfold return. But soon, a surge of energy caused his expression to change. He quickly spoke to Su Ming, who had retracted his golden dragon eyes and returned to his normal appearance. Minger, go back first and use these spiritual stones to consolidate your realm. I have a sudden feeling as a teacher, and I need to practice it. As he spoke, he put the remaining 2,000 spirit stones in front of him into a storage ring and handed it to Su Ming. Yes, master. Su Ming nodded. Hearing that Zhang Yun wanted to practice, he didn't dare to disturb him and left the cave immediately. After watching him leave, Zhang Yun immediately sat down cross-legged on the spot and began to use the extreme body art to absorb and refine the energy in his body. As the energy was refined, countless pores in his entire body suddenly opened, and he began to absorb the spiritual energy from all over the world. For a moment, the cave seemed to have turned into a huge whirlpool, and began to madly absorb the spiritual energy of the surrounding world. Su Ming, who had just walked out of the cave, felt it and looked surprised. As expected of the master, then it turned into emotion, and at the same time he sat down cross-legged on the spot to protect the Dharma. At this time, no one can disturb the master. Hold head high. The dragon roar of Su Ming's breakthrough resounded throughout Lingxian Sect. Everyone in Lingxian Sect was not surprised by this, and many people looked at the 9th peak with envy in their eyes. With such an astonishing dragon roar, I'm afraid Su Ming has made another breakthrough. Feeling that the dragon's power dissipated quickly, everyone didn't pay much attention, but the next second. Nima, why did you start sucking in spiritual energy again? 9th peak, I warn you not to go too far. Holy shit, stop sucking. I'm practicing and need spiritual energy. Feeling the spiritual energy of heaven and earth begin to rush towards the 9th peak, everyone in the Lingxian Sect suddenly screamed, unable to help but recall the horror not long ago. We don't mind if you taunt the dragons everywhere, but you can't absorb spiritual energy. 10 seconds, half a minute, 1 minute. Seeing that it didn't stop for several minutes, everyone in the Lingxian Sect went crazy. Quick! Copycat, get ready to go to the 9th peak to kill people. Are you really going? Nonsense, this damn bastard. Not so outrageous. But the strength shown by the 9th elder at the exchange meeting this time was enough to kill the golden core spiritual brown bear king. Then wait a minute and see if any elders kill him first. Many Lingxian Sect members mentioned the sword, but after thinking about Zhang Yun's performance in this exchange meeting, they put it down temporarily. Fortunately, this absorption did not last too long. After less than 2 minutes, the absorption gradually stopped. However, everyone in the Lingxian Sect still did not dare to be careless and did not dare to enter the cultivation state again immediately. After all, who knows if there will be another wave next? It is not easy for them to absorb and gather some spiritual energy. If it is taken away, they will go crazy. The main peak of the sect is located in a small building. Feeling the commotion outside, the leader of the Lingxian Sect could not help but shake his head slightly. This kid just came back and started making noise again. I hope you are not involved with those people, otherwise. He glanced at the direction of ninth peak and murmured, and a sharp look suddenly flashed in his eyes, the 10th peak of Lingxian Sect, in a 2-story attic. We must deal with this child as soon as possible. A man in a white robe and mask stood in front of the window, looking in the direction of the adjacent 9th peak with his eyes slightly narrowed. Behind him, a person who was kneeling couldn't help but said, "Sir, since we want to kill him, why don't we just—" "Idiot, it's no wonder that you are still the 10th elder, but you are so stupid." The man in the white robe and mask directly shouted and interrupted, "When you take action in Lingxian Sect, do you think your sect master is just a show-off?" Meng Zhong trembled after being scolded and did not dare to say a word. That's right, the person kneeling on the ground at this moment is Meng Zhong, the 10th elder of Lingxian Sect. The man in the white robe mask said calmly, "Next, do something." "My lord, please give me your instructions." Meng Zhong said quickly. The man in the white robe mask didn't say much, he just threw a piece of paper to Meng Zhong, and then his body turned transparent and disappeared. Meng Zhong read the note, wrote down the contents, and immediately put the note into the incense burner next to it and burned it.